Today I'm behind it with a brand new 2022 Hyundai Tucson. The Tucson receives a complete redesign from the ground up for this model year. The Tucson is much bigger, in fact over 6 inches longer than the previous generation. Also, the outside completely new, a lot more stylish, a lot edgier, and the inside has been upgraded substantially as well. This Tucson is also a lot safer and has a whole lot more features that families are looking for these days. So, just how good is this brand new Tucson? Let's find out. Now, before I go for a drive, let me first show you the outside and talk about all the features you'll find inside this brand new Tucson. Now, starting with the outside, this Tucson is completely different from the previous generation. In fact, I would say if you cover up the Hyundai badges, it's completely unrecognizable. It looks like no other SUV on the market today or no other SUV from Hyundai, period. The front end is dominated by this giant grille that integrates into the very unique looking LED headlights. Across all trims, you get LED headlights, and you can see there's layers of them. This is very, very, very different than any other headlight on any other car today. On this limited trim, this grille and the lower fascia is a little bit different, but overall, all Tucsons have this very unique, bold, and edgy front end that looks like no other SUV on the market today. Now, moving to the side of the Tucson, it definitely has a bigger presence, and that's because the Tucson increased about 6.5 inches in length and about 3.5 inches in wheelbase. The roof is nice and high. Also, the ground clearance is pretty substantial, and you can see these nice looking big 19-inch wheels that populate the wheel wells, and you can see a lot of the creases and edges and unique design aspect to the Tucson, especially from the side. On this Limited, you do have black roof rails and also this metal strip that goes from the mirrors all the way to the back of the Tucson, and it does add some uniqueness to the look. The back of the Tucson is tall and wide. It definitely makes this Tucson look like a midsize SUV. You have the standard shark fin antenna and spoiler, privacy glass. Look at these very unique smoke-looking LED tail lamps. Very, very unique. That spreads across from one side to the other. And on the bottom, you do have a unique looking rear fascia, and take a look at the edginess of the design. Very, very unique. Now, moving inside, you can see there's a good amount of space in the trunk. You have handles on both sides to fold down the second row. You also have a 12V outlet and a spare tire underneath. And the liftgate is powered. Now, this Tucson can also be equipped with a hands-free tailgate, which is exclusive for this class. Now, moving to the second row of this Tucson, inside this limited trim, everything is covered in beautiful leather. It has that nice contrast too. This one is equipped with white leather with the black door panels. It definitely adds some pop. Second row passengers get a pair of vents, USB port, and comes with heated rear seats. There's not a whole lot of compact SUVs out there in this class that offers them. Now, passengers have plenty of space in the second row because of the increased length and increased wheelbase. I'm 5'10" and I have about 6 inches of legroom, about 3 inches of headroom, and the seats do also recline. It's very, very comfortable in the second row for adults. Now, moving up front, the Tucson has a completely redesigned dash, center console, door panels, and everything flows and looks really, really nice. Now, of course, it's hard to ignore those two giant 10.3-inch screens right in front of you. One that is your digital cluster and another one for your infotainment system. With the digital gauge cluster, of course, you have a digital version of your speedometer and tachometer, and inside the middle, you get to see various things such as your compass, your navigation, TPMS, and also other things such as your trip computer, drive info, and stuff like that. Now, the other screen inside, of course, is control your infotainment system. This is optional. On most Tucsons, it's 8 inches, but this 10.3-inch one is fantastic. Like among the best I've ever tested. You can see when scrolling, there is absolutely no lag whatsoever. It's very smooth. The resolution is very high. Everything is really crisp, and it's very easy to figure out. You have some menu buttons that you could go through and scroll through: navigation, vehicle, sound, your connections. It's very easy to figure out. Also, this Tucson does come with wireless, yes, wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto which is really, really nice. Not a whole lot of compact SUVs in this segment has those features yet. This Tucson also comes with a 360 view camera system, and you can see you get a 360 view around your Tucson and also what's behind you. The resolution is extremely high, extremely bright. This is a really, really good setup. Now underneath the screen, you have these capacitive touch buttons for your volume, which may irritate some because it takes some time to up the volume or lower the volume. Also, you have various buttons for your navigation, radio, media setup, etc. Also, you have climate controls right underneath, and that's pretty self-explanatory, but again, it's capacitive touch, so it's a little bit slower to operate. Underneath, you do have wireless charging, also 2 USB ports and the 12V outlet. And inside this Tucson, you also have ventilated heated seats and heated steering wheel. If you happen to be in snow, mud, rain, or any kind of slippery situation, this Tucson has you covered. This Tucson also offers a locking center differential, which will increase traction in those situations. Also, you do have different driving modes, one specifically for snow. Then you have a smart one, which the all-wheel drive will figure out. You have a sport, also normal. Underneath, you have a push-button style shifter, a button for park, reverse, neutral, and drive. You have a large center console. You have HomeLink buttons on top and a giant panoramic sunroof. Again, not a whole lot of compact SUVs offer this. And something else that not a whole lot of compact SUVs offer is the camera system for the blind spot. Yes, this digital gauge cluster will show you what's in your blind spot depending on if you're turning left or right. This is very, very cool, and only Hyundai and its corporate cousin Kia offers this. No one else has it. You also get other features that no one else offers. For example, you could utilize your phone as a key. Well, Tesla does this, but outside of Tesla, really no one else gives you the ability to use your phone as a key, especially for this class. And you get to move your Tucson in and out of parking spots, so it makes it very easy for you to get inside. That's also included. First impression is when you sit inside this Tucson, it does feel more or less like a mid-size SUV. I know I already commented on the outside, the rear space, the cargo room. They're pretty substantial. When you're sitting up front, it also feels like that, mostly because of how airy it is and also the sitting position. For compact SUVs, they tend to sit a little bit lower to the ground. It doesn't feel like a mid-size SUV. You don't have the same kind of commanding view, but Hyundai changed that. I actually do sit quite off the ground, and I do have a commanding view. So, yeah, this Tucson is really, really, really close to a midsize SUV. It should be categorized as a midsize SUV. But with that said, I love the front cabin right now. My visibility is outstanding. The windshield is enormous. It's enormous. I can see well past the hood. No problems. The side mirrors are nice and big. Same thing with the windows. The windows are nice and big. Now, the blind spot is a little bit smaller back there, but overall isn't too bad. And rear visibility is also fantastic too. Even with the headrests up, they don't really block the view at all. So, sitting position and visibility are really, really, really good inside this Tucson. Something else I'm noticing is how quiet it is in here. Today's a pretty hot day, so the only thing I hear right now is the AC blasting away. That's about it. There's really no noise from the outside. It's actually really, really quiet. No wind noise. Like right now, if you can see, there's a lot of cars passing by. I don't barely hear them at all. It's nice and quiet. The only thing I do hear a little bit of is from the engine. This natural aspirated engine is a little bit loud, so I do hear that. But overall, this is a very, very quiet ride. And now, speaking of the engine, you have one option, actually two. You have one naturally aspirated option and one hybrid option. The NA option, which is inside this Tucson, is a 2.5 liter producing 187 horsepower. Now, around town with this automatic transmission, it's pretty darn smooth, but in a little bit, I'll test out full acceleration and see how it is. Now, if you wanted better fuel economy and more power, then you should look at the hybrid, because the hybrid produces 226 horsepower and gets better fuel economies. Okay, as I'm coming to a stop, The brakes feel very good, very natural. Nothing unnatural about it. The pedal has a good linear feel. It's not stiff. It's not mushy. I don't have any nosedive. Everything has a good linear feel. So the brakes are really good. Now the camera system inside this Tucson is quite amazing. I already talked about the 360 view, the blind spot view where you can see what's in your blind spot right in front of you, right? It's the same thing with what's in front of you and what's behind you. I was a little bit too close to the car ahead of me, and the front sensor went off, and immediately it showed me what was in front of me. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. You don't see that in basically any other compact SUV in this class. I put the Tucson in sport mode. I want to test how acceleration, see how lively it is. Okay, so that was going from about 25 to about 55 miles per hour. I had to slow down. It isn't very lively. So around town, this engine and transmission does a really good job keeping you in the power band. You don't actually feel that slow around town. But if you really have to floor it, you're trying to accelerate quickly for passing or whatever, you may find that it's a little bit slow. 0 to 60 is right under 9 seconds. So that kind of shows you that, yeah, it's not very quick off the line. But surprisingly, I think Hyundai did a really good job tuning the transmission. Around town, when I'm just driving normally, I really don't feel that it's slow, only when you just gun it. You know, just sitting here reflecting upon the cabin and thinking about all the features that you get inside this Tucson Limited, it's really amazing. Hyundai just basically took all their features and pretty much packed it inside this Tucson. The only feature that I think it's missing is a heads-up display. That's it. Everything else that you find inside, say, a Palisade, a calligraphy Palisade, which is the top SUV from Hyundai, everything inside there is in here. I mean, in terms of the features. I mean, literally, you get dual screens, you get the same infotainment system, you get heated and ventilated seats, also you get heated seats in the rear, you get this camera system, the 360 camera system, you know, your blind spot view system, all the safety features, panoramic sunroof, hands-free tailgate, leather interior, memory seats. I mean, I can't think of anything that it doesn't have. This Tucson is so well equipped. It's so far ahead of anyone else in this class. If you compare it to the class leaders like the RAV4 and the CR-V, in terms of all the features that you can get, this blows them away. Blows them away. It's not even close. Now, something else that's really nice inside this Tucson is the suspension. Right now, around town, all these imperfections and dips and potholes on the road, I barely notice them. The suspension is really soft, soaks up everything. Yet this Tucson doesn't feel like a boat, doesn't feel top heavy. I do feel like I'm in control. And I think that's mostly due to the steering and the steering feel. The steering wheel, first of all, is fantastic. It has a new age design, very easy to understand. It feels good. You get paddle shifters as well. But the steering has a good feel to it. It doesn't feel sloppy. It feels like you're in control. It's very precise for being an SUV. Now, I mentioned about the seats. They're also very nice and very comfortable. I mentioned how they're leather, they look good, they have that nice contrast because they're white, but they also feel very comfortable. Up front, you know, I don't feel like it's too over bolstered, it's not too aggressive. It's holding me in, right? These are leather seats, so I'm not sliding around because they're grabbing my back. Also, the bottom cushion is nice and comfortable, and same thing with the second row. The seats are very nice. I feel like I could sit here for a long time without feeling achy. Now, I'm trying to nitpick this Tucson. What don't I like about it? And I'm having a really hard time coming up with something. It does really everything well. I mentioned about the engine. I do believe that the engine is a little bit lacking to the competition, but then again, I haven't tested a hybrid one, which ups the power substantially, so that might fix it. So I guess the engine, a little bit slow, yes. I would say the outside, this new edgy design, maybe is a little bit too futuristic for some. I know Hyundai's trying to hit it out of the park with this new design. Maybe it takes time to get used to for some people, right? But overall, I think it's still pretty good looking. It definitely looks like nothing else on the road. Again, looks is subjective, but in terms of everything else, you got plenty of USB ports. You got all the latest features. The seats are comfortable. You have good driving position. The drive is nice. And plenty of room too. I honestly can't really nitpick. Everything in here is designed well. Nothing's hitting my knees. There's no weird placement of anything. I'm trying to be objective here, but Hyundai really did such a good job. I don't know what to nitpick on. There's really no negatives. So next up, let me talk about the different trim levels and pricing, and also give you a summary of the good and bad to this brand new Tucson. As for trim levels, there are 3 to the brand new Tucson. The base SE starts right under $25,000, and you do get features such as LED headlights, wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and an 8-inch infotainment system. Next up, you have the SEL, which starts at $26,500, and you get even more features such as heated front seats, push-button start, blind spot assist, and Blue Link car system. Lastly, the top trim level is the Limited, and it starts at $34,700. Everything I showcased today comes with the Limited. And by the way, if you want all-wheel drive at any of these trim levels, it's additional $1,500. To conclude, the 2022 Hyundai Tucson is a class leader for compact SUVs. The Tucson is spacious, has a bold exterior look, and an interior that belongs on a much more expensive car. The seats are supportive, the view is terrific, and the overall drive is very good. The fit and finish to the interior is second to none, and the same can be said with all the features you'll find inside the Limited trim. The Tucson also has one of the best warranties in the industry and costs thousands less than a comparable CR-V and RAV4. The bad includes the underpowered base engine, which could use a bit more power, although it is fine around town. And lastly, the bold exterior look may be a bit much for some. Overall, I'm giving the brand new 2022 Hyundai Tucson Limited a score of 101, and it easily becomes a top compact SUV rated by drivers only. To see how it compares to others in this class, check out driversonlyrankings.com. Thanks for watching, hit the like and subscribe to the channel. Also, check out these 2 other videos.